Thanks for stopping by the channel. Today, we're going to be cold smoking cheese, and it is one of the easiest things that you can smoke. I'll see you back here in a moment. From Columbus, Ohio, I'm Grill Father Johnny L. And this is Texas North Barbecue and Grill.
We are live from my backyard where I am smoking these meat like a brisket. I'm making meat now. Someone asked me, do I smoke meat? That's gonna be delicious. Yeah, if I smoke meat, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Welcome back. Now, I mentioned at the top of the show that cold smoking cheese is one of the easiest things to smoke. And in relation to smoking meat, you don't have to do a lot of the same steps and procedures that you do with meat, meaning you don't have to worry about firing up a smoker, seasoning, or putting a rub on, trimming. Internal temperatures don't come into play, and the cleanup is very quick as well. I do want to make a comment about temperature. It has nothing to do with the temperature of the cheese, but it has everything to do with the temperature outside, the ambient temperature. You definitely don't want to smoke cold smoked cheese when it's warmer than 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And the reason is it's cheese. And when cheese gets warm, it tends to melt and lose its form and lose its shape. So try, if you can, to do your cold smoking of cheese in the cooler months, in the winter months. If you do it in December, it can make for some nice Christmas gifts to give to people. If you have a need, though, to do it when it's warmer than 80 degrees out, then I would put a pan of ice, a little pan of ice inside the smoker so it will help things, keep things cooler in there. Now, what kinds of cheeses should you use for cold smoking, and what should you avoid? Well, in terms of what you should use the harder brick type cheeses. Again, they won't melt and they won't lose their form or shape. And avoid the softer cheeses because they will melt and also they will tend to take on too much smoke. So let's take a look at what the cheeses that I'm going to be cold smoking today. Now, the three cheeses that I'm going to be cold smoking today are mild cheddar right here, Gouda in the middle, and this final cheese is mozzarella, not mozzarella, not mozzarella, mozzarella. You have to trill the R's. Anyway, I chose these. You can choose other types like Monterey Jack. Again, you want to have a harder type of brick cheese. The first thing you want to do, let them sit out for about an hour so that they come up to room temperature. The second thing you do is pat dry them. Now, I also want to mention that I went ahead and split these in half just so that the surface will add an additional surface there so that the cheese can adhere better to the entire piece. So I will go ahead and give these a quick pat dry on all sides. And I think an hour is really sufficient for allowing these to come to room temperature. And then what we'll do then is we will transfer these to the grill grate that you're going to be smoking them on. I put some Pam on it, and I am going to center these a little bit apart. So because throughout the course of the smoke, we're going to be rotating and flipping them. I'm going to be using the cheese for cheese and crackers, so slicing it down also makes it a little bit easier to put on a cracker or a Triscuit or whatever you have, and it won't be so big, for example, like that, so you can cut it down and make it into smaller pieces. So let's go ahead and we'll head outside. It's 54 degrees outside today, so perfect weather for cold smoking cheese. And just want to talk a moment about the type of wood that I'm going to use. Apple or cherry are ideal kinds of woods. They are mild in nature and won't overpower the cheese. You can use hickory, pecan too, if you want more of a medium smokiness to your cheese. But I'm going to go with the cherry pellets today. And really, you need to have a smoke tube to do cold smoking. And this is about I'll put a link in the description below. And I'm only going to fill this up. And the easiest way to fill this up is using a little plastic cup. If I fill this all the way up to the top, I'll get about 6 hours out of it. And I am not going to be smoking anywhere near that today. So really, I'm just going to fill this up about um, halfway, and then I'm going to blast it with the torch over here, and this should be plenty. It's about half full right there, a little less than half full, which is fine. It'll be adequate. And then I'll let this catch fire and start to smoke, and then we'll get it into the smoker. So I have the cheese on the top rack. I have my pellet tube, smoke tube, generating some nice smoke. And I'm using my Masterbuilt vertical smoker because I want that smoke to come up, hit the cheese, the surface of the cheese, and then exit out through the damper. I'm not using my my Pit Boss. You can use whatever smoker you have, but today I'm going to use my vertical smoker. And what we will do is in 30 minutes, and then every 30 minutes after that, we will rotate the cheese and flip it over so that we ensure that it's getting a nice even smoke over the surface of the cheese. Typically, we go 2 to 4 hours on cold smoking cheese. 2 is more of the norm. I'm going to go 3 just to give it a little extra smokiness to it. So I will close this up, and in 30 minutes, I'll come back, rotate, and flip. We are 30 minutes into this cold smoke, so I am going to open the door up here, and we will make our first rotation of the cheeses. And basically, I will flip them over so that the other side gets the smoky part coming up. And what we'll do is we will continue to rotate those. And what I'll do is also I'm going to move the cheeses in the front. Move these to the back as well. Again, we want equal smoke coverage on the surface of the cheese. And we'll do this every 30 minutes until we reach that 3-hour mark. We reached the 3-hour mark, so it's time to take the cheese out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer the cheese to a cooling rack and take it inside and let it rest for an hour. You can see on the cheese surface there that it's a little bit oily. And so what I'm going to do is take it in, pat dry it first, and then put it on and get rid of that excess oil that developed on the surface. And then we'll take the next step in an hour. The cheese rested for an hour, and you can see how the smoke has kind of darkened the surface on the different types, especially here on the Gouda. So what I'm going to do now is the next step is to take one of these pieces, and I'm going to do this for all of them, but I'll just do it for one here because I don't want to bore you with it. And we're going to wrap it up, and you can use butcher paper or wax paper or parchment. I'm using parchment paper. And we are going to put it in the refrigerator for 2 days. I'll do this with all of it. So you can do it from 1 to 2 days. I'm doing it for 2 days. And then afterwards, we take it back out and we will vacuum seal it and put it back in the refrigerator for a minimum of 2 weeks. And at this point, I know you might be tempted to want to take a bite and slice it up, but you don't want to do it. It's way too smoky at this point. And by putting it in the refrigerator, vacuum sealing it and putting it in the refrigerator, you are going to have the smoke is going to mellow out and it won't be so prevalent and so smoky tasting when you actually do go to slice it up and cut it up. So I will put this in for 2 days, then vacuum seal it, and then we'll take a look at the final product here after it has sat in the refrigerator for 2 weeks. Our cheeses are out of the refrigerator now after a several-week rest where we allowed that smoke to settle in as well as mellow out at the same time. What I like to do now is just open up one package of each of these different types of cheeses. And what we'll do is go ahead and get into slicing them up. And I have 3 different methods here of slicing up the cheeses. And there are other ways of slicing the cheese. These are just a couple of different ways that I use. And the first way, I'll just set this all aside. First way is to use an actual wire edge cheese slicer. And I will just, what you can do is slice down this way. Come to the edge there, lift it up a little bit to get a nice clean cut. So I'll do one more here. So there's the wire cheese slicer method. Then you can also use a mandolin, and I'll just put a plate underneath here to catch the cheese. And basically we're just going to be sliding it down and cutting slices. I like the mandolin. It slices quickly, so if you have a lot of cheese to slice, the mandolin works great. So that's the mandolin, and these are the slices that resulted from the mandolin. And then finally, you can just use a regular knife, and this happens to be a Japanese Shogun chef knife that my brother-in-law Brent bought me for Christmas. Very cool knife, and you can just slice down. This is the Gouda that I'm slicing right now, and slice it into cracker size slices. And then all that's left to do is add the cheese to whatever your favorite cracker is. And enjoy at that point. I went ahead and sliced all the cheeses up and put them in their own little plastic bags and into the refrigerator. Then people can just grab and go instead of every time they want some cheese and crackers having to get a knife out and slice it up. I just went ahead and took care of doing that. Now, you know that I don't do taste tests on camera because I can't offer you a bite to eat. So I'm not going to eat in front of you, but I did do a taste test for each of the 3 cheeses that I did. I was really happy with the taste and the smokiness in each of them. And really, these make nice gifts to give at Christmas to friends or family. Easy process to do. Really, all you need is a smoke tube and the bricks of cheese. Don't even have to fire up that smoker, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So No taste test on camera, but I am going to give this the Grill Father Johnny L stamp of approval. Hey friends, thanks for stopping by the channel today. I hope you found this video useful and helpful. Just do me the favor of hitting the like and subscribe buttons, as well as sharing this video with a family member and friend. Until next time, this is Grill Father Johnny L. Take care. God bless. Smoke on.